Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Business Builders Podcast. My name is Tom Borg, and with me, yes, we have him back, Mr. Larry Klimek. Larry, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Tom, for having us. Looking forward to conversation today.
Hey, Larry, just get us started. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what your company does, so our listeners can know what you do.
Again, I'm a promise guide. I help business owners guide their business to a next level of performance, great results, helping them with their teams and with their clients achieve an outcome that maybe in the past they didn't necessarily struggle with, but we help them get there in a cleaner, more efficient way.
Fantastic. Hey, well, today we're going to talk about a topic that's been bandied about over the last few months, but we're going to put a different spin on it and go someplace with it, which I think will be more meaningful to our listeners today. And that is this business of quiet quitting. Quiet quitting. What's your take on that, Larry?
Wow, that's quite. We got to unpack the snowball.
Yeah.
It's a word that is floated about these days. I maybe have a little slightly different tact or view of quiet quitting. It's a label, and we do enough labeling in our society today that I would like to back out of the label and look more at problem solving at a more root cause level of what causes it, as opposed to just labeling that it's happening.
Yeah. So what are some of the causes? Well, let's first define it. What is quiet quitting as you see it?
Well, I mean, quiet quitting is where an individual inside of an organization, for any number of reasons, whether they be related to the business or related to the person, their contribution, that's my way of looking at it, is they're either doing the absolute minimum to stay employed, or they are so frustrated with the environment that they're in that they show up. They put in their day's work and they go home, but there's no real passion. There's no real purpose. It's very sterile type of an environment. And eventually they just, they either leave the organization or they stay inside the organization and become, frustrated with even their own being, and, they don't like their work. And that's sad when a person doesn't find worth in their ability to contribute.
Absolutely. And we do see that a lot, where we've seen the statistics where a number of people, I've heard it as high as 50, 60, 70%, maybe even higher, don't like their job. They would prefer working someplace else if they could find someplace else to work that they would want to work at.
Yeah, those numbers are startling.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder sometimes if we miss the opportunity to truly if they don't like it there, is that the employee's challenge or is that the leadership challenge?
Mm-hmm.
I view it as both. If people don't have a good environment to produce in, they're not going to produce. Leadership has the opportunity to provide that environment, and the employee also has to recognize that the leadership is doing, in many cases, the very best they can within the circumstances. I mean, my world, I work a lot with micro and smaller businesses, and they don't necessarily have the same resources as a major corporation. And sometimes it's, living through, some pretty financially challenging times to get to a better end. But, if in fact, another word that's bantered about out there, the word transparency, I think if the communication between company and personnel is reasonably transparent, I mean, owners are not going to share every minute detail of their finances or business decisions, but an understanding of where the company is trying to go, what its core purpose is, what its core values are that are going to guide the day-to-day decisions, and then having each individual appreciate and be able to connect their activity to how they contribute to the success of that purpose of the business.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. I have a client who's in the automotive repair industry,
Mm-hmm.
and we went through the process of helping them govern into a core purpose. their employees thought that their purpose was to fix cars. Pretty typical, that's what I do. I put new brakes on a car. After much discussion, the purpose by the owner is we help our customers do life. He converted the putting of brakes onto a vehicle to helping that car stop because there's children in it. He helped getting the father to work so that he could put food on the table. He converted in the minds of his team, and he's got multiple units, okay, multiple locations, to where he has helped his team understand they have a far deeper meaning and purpose. And so, when we talk about quiet quitting, these people are not quitting, they're engaged. They're looking at how they do their talent, their skill, and how it contributes to the bigger value of helping people do life. It's that type of openness, it's that type of communication, it's that type of expectation setting that allows for an environment that challenges quiet quitting directly at the source of where it may come from.
So in a sense, that's helping your employees understand what they do, but certainly educating them on what they're doing and helping them think through that process of what their purpose is and what they're contributing to their clients or customers, people that they're serving, and gives them a more holistic view of what they're really doing for those people.
Yeah, I said it earlier, it's kind of sad when a person doesn't have the opportunity to appreciate self-worth. What's happened in this client scenario is he's helped every person in the organization, whether it be, the oil change general service tech, to the master mechanic, to, the office staff, to the drivers who shuttle customers to their homes and pick them up, for during service days. Everyone in the organization has a sense of worth, not only for the organization, but for themselves. And when an individual has that type of energy, that what they are doing is contributing, and they can put a tangible, connecting the dots, not just, thinking it exists, but actually having dots that connect my action to a deliverable that is helping this bigger cause. It's huge. It's enormous in the way the flow of everything takes place. Now you have team members that are communicating with each other because why? They want the customer experience to be so high that at the end of the day, they help people do life.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is it's helping this business owner is helping his people understand their calling and how it relates to what they're doing for the people they service. And where else are they going to get that? They may not get that from their typical circles of influence outside of work. So that's where that leader comes in to help the organization, the people in that organization understand the real value of what they're doing. So it's a form of informing and educating, and at the same time creating that culture where people feel that this is important and we're part of something that's bigger than all of us.
Yeah, you raise an important point there, is that we are actually seeing in not only in small business, but in large business, people are coming into the workforce because they're looking for that environment which effectively resembles, relationships. It resembles the relationship of family per se, or it resembles the family of, a group of people that have a common cause. And they're looking for that because it's not necessarily available in the general social world. You can't get a relationship on digital social media. It's artificial. People, as human beings, we're a communal being. And so being able to interact at a humanistic level, at a belly-to-belly, face-to-face conversational type level is, even if you're an introvert,
Yeah.
you still need the magnetism, the energy of relationships.
Hmm.
So people are coming into the workplace, and when an owner of a business can provide, and what's odd about this, the cost is virtually zero. Yeah, you could do a lot of fun things, and you could put signs on the wall and you could do all that. This owner doesn't do that.
Hmm.
He acknowledges the people at the place they're at and helps them get to the place they as an individual are wanting to go, and
Hmm.
how that aligns not only for themselves personally and for their family and for their communities, but also how that contributes to the bigger source of what this business does for the community.
Hmm. So
And it's quick. I mean, it happens not quickly, but it happens a lot quicker than when the environment is one that causes quiet quitting.
hmm Yeah, Larry, you're talking about something here that is so far ahead of most businesses when it comes to really understanding the business purpose, and that they're creating a culture for their people to be part of. And it doesn't happen by accident. And it does come down to caring, real caring for the people that you have under your shingle. And these are people that you're responsible for to help them develop their way through the world, their calling, and to really become more self-actualized as human beings.
Yeah, it's business always have had a need to provide for in the market space, provide for clients, provide for employees and the like. The up and coming generations of resources, they have had an opportunity to experience a different upbringing than even me as an older person.
Mm-hmm.
And as a leader, we have to recognize the push and the pull that all of those stories of our past have caused, and the good and the challenges that they present for us.
Mm-hmm.
And as a leader, when we can meet those people and we can talk to them and have a conversation, because there is a difference, and that's okay. That's healthy, and change in its right perspective is healthy. But if we do
Sure.
change without dialogue, all we cause is quiet quitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in the sense that we're talking about, there's a disconnect in these companies where there's this quiet quitting going on, or disengagement, or and whatever we want to call it, because this is not something that just started happening within the last 6 months. This business of disengagement has been around for a long, long time.
It's been around at least as long as I have had a conscious level of participation in business, which is
Mm-hmm.
50 plus years.
Yeah, fantastic. And just to think about this now, this is a very, very serious topic when we think about what that owner's responsibility is when it comes to creating that kind of environment or culture where that communication is there, where the understanding is there. How does he do that? How does a person like that do that with your help?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing we have to start out with is purpose.
Mm-hmm.
What is
Mm.
the authentic purpose? And I'll ask that to an owner, and I'll get the answer. Well, we got to make money.
Ah.
You
Hmm.
know,
Mm.
money, oddly enough, comes as a default when you
Mm-hmm.
have the other pieces in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the first thing we start with is core purpose, core
Mm-hmm.
passion, core values, and understand the underpinnings, the framework of why we are even in business.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to focus that and filter all decisions through that. And the first place we filter them through is through the people.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we're working in a lights out type manufacturing environment where there's no bodies and there's only robots, and unfortunately, that's sometimes how the view of people, are done by leadership, is they're viewed as mechanical instruments of performance, and that's not who we are as human beings.
Mm-mm. No.
So, once we have that, we have to take a look at the pace, the speed at which we are introducing things. And then we have to consider the innovation part of the world. How do we take what we do, even if we're making the same widget, how do we become innovative and creative, in either the creation of it, the delivery of it, the emerging design of it, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And And only then, once we have gone through that path, get to the point where we have the profitability is going to happen as a result of having the other pieces in place.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see how a business might get off track and become focused only on making a profit, and then in that process, they're just devaluing the people that work for them, maybe even not looking at the real issues that are popping up where persons putting in way too many hours, or they're not in an environment that's healthy in the respect of the toxic uh, atmosphere that might be created by people's competitiveness, or maybe they're just not cooperating with each other for their own self-interest, thinking that they're going to get ahead by getting their department to do what it's supposed to do, and forgetting about the other department they have to interact with. And as a result, they create these fiefdoms, or these
Yeah.
turf wars within an
Silos,
organization.
you know,
Yeah,
they're
silos.
silos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's how it can happen, where people, and I've seen this happen firsthand in some of the companies I've worked with over the years, where the business owners' values trickle down, and they're not the best values. And as a result, people, in some ways, I was with one organization where it was a predatory environment, where they're a sales organization, and the leads they came in, and that was a source of income for these people. Well, the business owner disregarded the fact that there should have been a fair system for distributing those leads, where referrals should come from the person that let's say that one of the customers sends a referral into the organization, that should go back to the person that originally serviced that client. That was the original agreement, but people were not honoring that, and the owner just looked the other way. All he cared about was that they got that business. Well, that created all kinds of turmoil within the organization, and people were pitted against each other because they could see that they were being cheated in some ways with the source of income they were not getting because of the referrals that weren't coming to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's an old commercial from years and years and years ago that talks about the changing of oil, and it was a company called the name of Fram Oil Filters, and they used to say you can either pay me now or pay me later. Right? You either pay me now by changing your oil regularly and getting a good filter.
Yes.
But if you don't, your engine's eventually going to seize up on you, and you're going to pay me big dollars later. And I think sometimes, if we use that same type of analogy where we look at the interaction with our teams, with our people, the quick dollar is very easy to see, and it falls directly to the bottom line, and it causes people to behave in one way. If we look at the longer term piece, we eventually get to the same quality, if not better quality of dollars. Because first of all, I believe in profit. Profit is got to happen. This is
Sure.
not one of these, we want to be all soft and cozy and all that stuff. We have to be productive, because that is our contribution back into society. All right.
Right.
But at the same time, when we do this, we have to understand it's a building process that gets us into a consistent, high quality, authentic level of relationships with our teams, with our people, with our vendors, with our customers, with the societal communities that we live in. When we make that investment and go down that path, it takes a little bit of time to get there, but in the end, the quality and the consistency and the genuineness of the relationship flourishes.
Sure. So in a sense, it's a little bit like the analogy of a person running a 50-yard dash versus a marathon. You're going to approach that a whole lot differently. So if you want to be in business for a good long time, have happy customers, have happy employees, and make a healthy profit, then let's take a look at this long term and how we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so rather than being caught up in the labeling process of defining why we have a group of people, and what's interesting, this group of people that are quiet quitting is not strictly related to a given generation. It can be young, or it can be more senior. It's people had an opportunity during the pandemic to rethink some things. And as a result of that, there's opportunity out there today in the marketplace because talent is tight. And so people are saying, am I getting something out of this relationship other than just X? Whatever X is, it could be money, it could be time, it could be, it's going to be different for every person. But we're experiencing where people are evaluating that and then saying, can those expectations, getting back to that word, can they be met here? If they can't be met here, then I'm going to do something else. I had a young lady years ago who was in a sales job. She was in the pharmaceutical sales, and she had got herself into a really high paying role, and she had high paying debt. But she didn't really like what she did. She really wanted to work with children with horses and how horses can help children with some disabilities flourish. And so over the course of a cycle of time, we worked with her, and she adjusted her work schedule. She was quiet quitting. This is 20 years ago. All right. She was effectively doing her job effectively and efficiently, meeting her company goals, but she was taking her time and applying it on the weekends and after hours to this other passion of hers.
Great.
So that eventually she could turn her passion into an income stream that would allow her to get out of her debt that she was buried in because she thought that was the way life had to happen. So, it's one of those things where we as individuals have to get to know ourselves. We need to know what our personal values are. We can't violate our personal values, because when we do, it eventually catches up with us. And by having that understanding, and as owners, as leaders, when we can align our company culture, our company values, and have them align with the individuals who are participants in the game of business, connecting the dots, communication, transparency, profitability are so much cleaner and so much more authentic than if we try and fight the battle of just, hiring because people can, fog a mirror.
Right. So what I just heard you say we need to help our employees identify their own personal values and how those values relate to the values of the organization, which they're part of. And in harmony, they can live out what they want to do with their life and to, in a sense, answer their calling that they've been given, and work in an organization that has an organized approach to help them do what they love to do and serve a greater big picture.
I mean, quiet quitting is nothing more than manifestation of the distraction where there's a conflict between an individual and a business and the way they are going through life.
Well said. Say that again, Larry. That's worth repeating.
Oh, I don't know if I could. It just came up so quickly and so good. Basically, there's a disconnect between the values.
Yes.
And that disconnect is effectively causing this quiet, separation to happen.
That's it. That's a great way to end our conversation here today. If our clients want, or our listeners are listening in and want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you and your listeners for spending some time with us today. I'm going to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm a Merry Christmas kind of a person. I know there's many events that go on at this time of the year, and happy to all of you as well. But I mean, to get a hold of us, you can always reach out to us at our either our office here in Michigan at 313-527-7945, or you can reach out to us at our office in Florida, 407-984-7246. And or go out to our website. It's got all the information there, www.jklassociates.com. We'd be more than happy to have a conversation. It all starts with talking.
Absolutely. Well, Larry, we're going to have you back. You're just too much of a brain trust not to have back on our program. So we'll schedule that, and our listeners can look forward to seeing you again. And in the meantime, thank you for being here today. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, Tom. Take care.